that when we think about multicultural families, we ask ourselves, well, what does that mean? Are there really differences amongst multicultural families? I think that's one of the great opportunities for us as marketers, is to think about, how do I communicate not just to traditional families, but all sorts of different families and how those families are changing.
As of 2000, for the first time in U.S. history, you could choose to be more than one race. That we went from 3 races in 1940 to 63 races in 2000. The family now from 1940 doesn't exist.
So Baby Center is the #1 resource for new and expecting moms. We reach 26 million moms across 22 countries through our websites and our mobile applications, and 7 out of 10 new and expecting moms in the US. And we've looked at the shopping rituals of American mom, and we recently released our 2012 American Media Mom Study. So the changing faces of the American family does go into more depth than what I'm going to show you today.
You know, one of the things that we've been kind of wrestling with as it relates to African American families specifically is, you know, we're hearing from a lot of advertisers that they just don't know how to reach the African American household. And so one of the things that we did was a very comprehensive study on the Black family structure. A lot of brands are really missing out on potential revenue because they're not having dialogue, they're not doing the understanding of the African American family and the family dynamics.
Geoscape, for those of you who don't know, essentially what we do is we combine database products, so data of various types, with technology, and we add analytics and consulting to apply it to the challenges that companies have today, which is finding growth. I sometimes refer to Hispanic as the growth majority.
Asian Americans are among the fastest growing ethnic groups, and to Cesar's chart, this is pretty much right on. By 2050, we're expected to be close to 1 out of every 10 Americans at 8.5%, and it's almost double from where the 2010 census is at 4.8%. How to market to Asian Americans. That is a real difficult nut to crack. The one thing about Asians, once you get them, to Cesar's point, in terms of brand loyalty, once you get them on your side, they're going to be a customer forever. That's the one thing. However, you have to do your homework up front with them as well, because they're going to be doing a lot of research and they're going to fact check everything. That is, I think, a very crucial thing to, I think, dispel any kind of notion. You can market to Asian Americans. I think it's a very effective group, but you really have to understand, I think, the difference in terms of their family value proposition.
So let's start off with what constitutes an LGBT household. So kids in the home, I guess that's probably the largest segment within the LGBT family. My perspective here is really about marketing and products and services, not so much about sociology, although we certainly have a depth of information. In general, the LGBT market is very, very brand loyal. We are brand loyal in a big way about who sponsors our charities. If you're new to the LGBT market, whether you're looking at gay families or you're looking at individuals or the market as a whole, sponsorships and support of our community organizations is as important, if not more important, than placing an ad. So I'm going to leave you with some best practices. Most notably is employment practices. Whether you're reaching out to LGBT families or individual gays or lesbians or any mix of the above, we are very tuned into your internal corporate policies. If you don't treat your own employees with dignity and respect and equality, then we're not going to treat you with our wallet, basically.
We're
from Abraham Lincoln High School.
We attend the Academy of Finance and Enterprise.
My teammates and I are from Business Computer Applications and Entrepreneurship High School.
We attend the Business of Sports School, or BOSS.
We are Carpe Diem Mobile Multimedia Marketing from DeWitt Clinton High School.
We are here from Hillcrest High School.
We're from the High School for Innovation in Advertising Media.
We're representing the High School for Arts and Business.
We are from the High School of Economics and Finance.
From Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis High School.
I'm from Port Richmond High School.
I'm from Sheepshead Bay High School.
My name is Phil Groth, Managing Director of HSK Search here in New York. I recruit at the more senior levels of the creative world.
I was going through the Help Wanted, as probably many of you are as well, and trying to figure out, feverishly looking for a job, and I saw this ad that caught my attention, and it said looking for the right fit, but right instead of R-I-G-H-T. Was W-R-I-T-E. And I thought, oh my gosh, how creative. I gotta go work for these guys, right? Right. Oh, this is brilliant. And he says, okay, you're hired. And I said, excuse me? I said, you're hired. I want you to start tomorrow. And I said, that's fantastic. I'll see you tomorrow. And due to some freak set of circumstances, my alarm never went off. So I wake up 15 minutes before I'm supposed to arrive at my first day of my first job ever. No matter what seems like a pretty dismal set of circumstances and what seems to be dead ends, and whether in my case it was potentially the company and then the kind of work I was going to do, if you give it your all of your passion and creativity, and you really just focus on it, it's amazing what can happen.
Well, when I first got to Leo Burnett, it's a very big agency, and so they had us working on a lot of things like Kool-Aid packages and cards to clients for their 50th anniversary of being in business, things like that. And me and my art director, we always worked really hard. My boss would come in, sometimes we have on the same clothes, and he was like, you don't have to stay in here all night just to work on a Christmas card. So then there was an assignment on Nintendo, and I think a lot of people were out of town working, shooting commercials, or people were on vacation. And so my boss looked at us and said, we're going to give you a chance to work on Nintendo for the first time, which is a prized account to work on a video game. We were basically doing our research, which is what you want to do when you're working on assignment. You want to come up with as many ideas and learn as much as you can about the assignment. So we spread out all this stuff on the floor. It was like CSI. It was a very interesting process. And what I learned out of that process was a couple of things. Number one, I learned, and I guess I'd already known that, but to really work hard, because what we had done is we had attracted the attention of our boss. He saw that we were working really hard, and whether he was just trying to get rid of us and distract us, or whether he was giving us an opportunity because he saw we were working really hard, we got noticed through that. And then I think I also learned to take risks.
So actually I started not in the ad world. I started as a designer. Endless late nights and no sleep and all that.
My first ad was horrible, and it's possibly the worst ad ever written. But what it taught us was we were doing it for the wrong reasons. We were trying to keep a job. We were trying to beat the team up the corridor, and we compromised our convictions. Our convictions were you do the best ad possible, and if you get fired, you get fired, and if you get hired, you get hired, but then at least you've defined yourself. Only go in with stuff you can fight for. Only go in with stuff you can believe in. Because if you can't fight for it, who will?
I guess I'll tell you about my first time. I got really lucky in that I studied, I had some great teachers along the way, and was able to get a job in advertising pretty easily coming out of school. So that's a little rarity. So I'm not going to make that seem like that's the norm. I learned how to take criticism, with a grain of salt. He criticized everything, not just my work, but the way I dressed, everything. So he turned out to be a really interesting inspiration on the job. And he saw me working really hard. I would do, all types of comps, proofs, photography, everything. He would comment on everything I did. Till one day he came in and said, "That's a good motherfucking ad." And I said, "Really?" And I'm like panicked because I'm like, it's a TV assignment and I don't know what I'm gonna do, and oh my God. And so he comes around the corner and he's like, "What are you looking at that motherfucking page for?"
the answer's not on that motherfucking page.
And I'm like, it's not? And he's like, no, the answer is somewhere inside you. Get in your gut. I really didn't know that, an idea could kind of come from, a personal place, a personal experience. Having a creative director that pushes you, that seems like they don't care, that seems like they are harsh, you have to look beyond that, because really they could be grooming you, shaping you for something much bigger.
You'll know who your friend is, if that makes any sense. Somebody will pull you aside at some point. And we all in this business is a very small business, and people help you and you help other people. But somebody will tap you on the shoulder from time to time and pull you aside and give you a tip, and that's how you'll know who wants to help you. It's not like a big thing like, hi, I'm going to be your mentor.
I think at the end of the day, we're doing this. We're being in the ad industry or the creative industry, and instead of being in banking or lawyers or whatnot, it's because this is a lot more fun than anything else. So
You never leave bodies. You are a friend. You help everybody else, your colleagues, up that ladder. You can never tell when it's going to come back to hurt you or help you. And it's very, very important that you remember that. It is a very small business, and everybody needs to help everybody else.
Most of you are aware of the fact that the 2010 census reported that the growth in this country was coming from Hispanic nativity, not so much immigrants, so children of immigrants. How has that impacted your clients' marketing efforts?
There was a census, that's great news. So there's been a lot of conversations, as it usually happens every census years, a lot of meetings, and some activity. Not as much as I think we saw 10 years ago.
How has Nielsen's approach to measuring Hispanic household viewership negatively impacted us moving this segment forward?
How can we measure households when we're so individual? I mean, to me, it's kind of like we're in the 60s again. And it's a disfavor to the market. We put a lot of money towards that measurement, and it's, in my humble opinion, not an accurate measurement or an accurate reflection of what's going on there.
And in Hispanic, when your brand has little awareness or many, don't identify with your brand, it's not about relationship building. And that's been the issue with going beyond the new divisions of the connected, which is all about reach and awareness. And then they say, I'm not getting it. And I've also heard from some pretty iconic brands who are like, we lost their trust. Well, because you haven't been there. You haven't been deepening that relationship. You haven't been building trust during the recessive environment. Just, the value proposition was not enough. And to relationship build, you need to, engage the public, get to know them, and have an emotional connection.
So when people are being squeezed on their margins, and now they're being told Latinos are multifaceted, not monolithic, and the multicultural audience is multifaceted. These guys are burning the furniture just to make each quarter work, and now they're supposed to think about how do we reach this audience. I've never seen a movie where there were actually Latinos, there were heroes in the war. I mean, we're invisible. Yet if you look at the Medal of Honor winners, you're not hearing those stories. You're not hearing these stories of triumph and human spirit. You're just seeing these guys, hey, what's love to see? And that's it.
How well integrated the Hispanic strategy is to the total business strategy within the company. Because what you carry most companies here, unfortunately, you carry a huge general marketing department, and the corner of the building you have Jose and Maria in charge of Spanish.
Right.
Jose and Maria get it, but if they don't talk to the other guys, it's nothing.
This is a growing tribe, and we're looking for leaders. So make sure that we are able to provide leaders, whether it's leaders in business or leaders in entertainment. Another thing is that find similarities that they don't make you afraid. So it's like we're different yet we're the same.